and we'd have to note that and send that back to the factory. So it's a learning curve. It's seeing what's working, what's not working, and not rushing the process. And that's where you just have to have the patience.
Yeah, like you were saying. I'm right there with you. Like, I want to, drive towards the things that I want, get it, right now, if not, tomorrow at the latest. But having that patience to, like you said, you said 5 iterations of the 107.
5 or 6. The first shoe is just a starting point, and then you wear test it. You see how the shoe reacts to, playing. You have, I'm only 5'11". So we had a couple guys that were 6'8" wear the shoe. What was their thoughts? Did we need more ankle support? Do we need more cushion? All of that goes into effect when making a shoe, and I can't just trust myself. I have to lean on the rest of our team for their unbiased opinions because I might be biased, where you really have to put trust in other people, and that's where the patience part comes in.
I love it, dude. Well, so I really want to get your opinion here because obviously, you're an expert in, specifically the basketball shoe world, right? So, are there any like certain, tips or, certain qualities or features that people should be looking for in a good basketball shoe if they're thinking about, purchasing some new shoes?
Yeah, I think every person's different. It just depends on what you're looking for. Me being an unathletic, slow, short guy, I couldn't wear the heavy shoes. I needed as much advantage as possible. So I was always looking for lightweight and comfort, and I feel like I didn't always get that. So that was me personally. But I'd say for every person, it's different. It depends on what they're looking for, whether they're looking for support, they're looking for cushion, lightweight. All of that goes into effect, or if they're just looking to wear, the signature athlete, whose shoe is it? Because all of that, comes into effect, and it's just a lot of trial and error. And you're not going to please everyone, as you know.
And I was going to say, too, I would have to imagine, like you were saying a minute ago, where, somebody that's, like you said, like, a 6'8" is going to have probably very different needs, not in just terms of, size of shoe, but just in the needs that they have of that shoe compared to a guy that's 5'10" and just playing on the weekends, right?
Yeah, totally. I'm 5'10", 5'11". I love the shoe, but then we got a guy named KJ McDaniels who played in the NBA for 4 to 5 years, and now he's in Indonesia, and he's 6'7", and he's a dunker. He's a power forward. He's a monster. He's killing it. But, he wears our shoes and it works for him. So it's finding a balance where, you have to create a quality product that doesn't just work for the guards like myself. It works for everyone. So that's where it's fun to see the difference.
I love it. That's so cool. It's got to be such a fascinating, process too, saying, hey, this shoe is working, our design right now is working great for, the guys such as yourself. Like you said, they're like that 5'10", 5'11" range, and then figuring out what slight tweaks you need to make for like these huge power forwards that have a very very different need of cushion and comfort as they're running up and down the court.
Yeah.
I want to dive into, I think probably maybe the coolest part of what we've been talking about is that your shoes are worn by a bunch, almost 100 professional athletes, right? And Olympians too. So talk me through, tell me some stories. How was that?
Yeah, no, it's been really cool to see the pro athletes wearing. That was always a vision of mine when we started the shoe is, I think it's validation to see, the top level athletes wearing your shoe, because then it's like if a guy in the NBA or the G League or top league overseas is wearing your shoe, then the shoe will work for little Jimmy in elementary school or high school. So it's always cool, and it adds validation to it. But we had 5 guys in the Olympics wearing for 2 different countries, South Sudan and Puerto Rico. We've had guys in the NBL, which is the top league in Australia, Euro League, which is the top league in Europe. We've had G League guys wearing. We've had NBA players try them out. So it's been really cool. But I'd say that the biggest success has definitely been the Olympics this past summer, which I actually got to go to.
Oh, cool. So, what was that? What was that process like? Did they just up and buy them, or did they reach out, or what was that like?
So far with Stria, it's been really cool because all of our connections and all of that has been organic. It's happened from word of mouth, or one pro that I knew connected me to another pro that they knew and they wore. And part of being a business owner, as is wearing different hats, whether it's sales, marketing, being the creative person. And sadly, we didn't think of reaching out to anyone a couple months in advance. So we reached out a couple weeks before the Olympics started to a couple different athletes. We talked to our network of if they knew anyone, and we got a couple people to hit us back, and we had really positive conversations. But the part we didn't know was there was Olympic qualifiers leading up to the actual Olympics. So 2 weeks before, the rosters weren't finalized yet, and they were playing in these exhibition games. So we couldn't really send shoes anywhere. We couldn't send it to their hotel because they're in one city for 2 days and then they're on to the next for a couple other days. And the rosters weren't finalized, like I said. So about a week before the Olympics started, the rosters were finalized. They were all going to head to Paris. Mm-hmm. And that's where we got a couple players to say they were down to wear and all of that. And, it came down to how can we ship these players their shoes. And it was going to cost a fortune to send, 30 shoes to Paris. So our team kind of looked at each other and was like, you know what, I think you just got to go. So a couple days before, we packed about 3 or 4, suitcases just full of shoes, brought limited clothes, and flew out to Paris, met the athletes at the Olympic Village 2 days before their game started. Met them all, which was super cool. And then we went to a couple of the games.
I love it, man. What a cool story. I mean, that must have been. I mean, were you planning on going to the Olympics before that?
Definitely not. Yeah, I said as a joke that I said to my friends, I might have to go to Paris in a couple days if I can't figure out how to ship the shoes. But it was more of a joke. And then about 2 days before, that was the only realistic way of getting the shoes to these players. And for us, it was like having on your resume that athletes wore your shoes in the Olympics is such a cool milestone for us, being a startup where you kind of had to create your own luck. So we just showed up and delivered.